Welcome back to Learn Life again. This episode is continuation of last episode in which Sir have discussed about the Gilgit Baltistan. In this episode, we will continue where we left. You can watch the episode with the link provided in the description box. Sir, where did the President of Pakistan derive his power for promulgating the Gilgit Baltistan Order 2018?
As we have seen in part one of this topic, Pakistan had seized control of Gilgit Baltistan, a part of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, not by any legitimate constitutional means, but by deceit and collusion of Major William Brown, who commanded the Gilgit Scouts and was under the direct command of the British officers who had opted to serve the Pakistani army at the time of partition. On superior orders or on his own initiative, Major Brown had engineered a mutiny of Gilgit scouts, arrested Governor Brigadier Ghansara Singh and other officers of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and alerted the Pakistani army. So the Pakistani army, came post haste and usurped the territory of Gilgit Baltistan. And ever since then, Pakistan has kept Gilgit Baltistan under its tight grip and ruled it with iron fist. That grip has been legitimized by the, or sought to be legitimized by the Gilgit Baltistan Order 2018. Constitutionally, Pakistan's president has no power to promulgate this order, even under his own constitution of Islamic Republic of Pakistan.
Yes, sir.
To the Gilgit Baltistan is this is one of the most pernicious provisions uh, of the of that order, and that is Section 2B, defining citizen, which enables Pakistanis to get government jobs as well as acquire land in Gilgit Baltistan to the grave detriment of the local Gilgit Baltistanis. Uh, and they were always coming and because of the uh, presence of Pakistan's all the functionaries here, but it has been sought to be legitimized as it were.
Please give our viewer a sense of Gilgit Baltistan Order 2018.
In this format, it will not be possible to deal with all the provisions of that order, but that's not necessary. uh, we will focus on the pernicious provisions of the Gilgit Baltistan Order 2018. You see, it is made to look like a legislative enactment with a preamble, 17 parts divided into chapters, and 121 sections and 4 schedules. So its preamble claims that it seeks to provide for greater political empowerment to bring Gilgit Baltistan at par with other provinces and to initiate necessary legislative, executive, and judicial reforms. So, on this test, let us examine the provisions of the relevant provisions and see whether, you know, it passes the test. Actually, it does not. So, let me go one by one. The claim of political empowerment of people of Gilgit Baltistan and legislative, executive, and judicial reforms is thoroughly exposed. Just consider these. The non-conferment of any legislative power whatsoever on the Legislative Assembly of Gilgit Baltistan is apparent. Section 60 of this order, read with third schedule, list 1, federal list, that shows that federal government has usurped all the power in respect of as many as 62 subject matters, as contrasted with list 2, which leaves the Legislative Assembly of Gilgit Baltistan only with 5 items. And let's examine those 5 items. That
Yes, sir.
list, list 2 itself is a deception because all the 5 items of list 2 do not relate to any subject matter of lawmaking, but are only subject matters of taxation. There's a difference between, the ambit and width of power. So width of power does not cover any subject. It covers, only right to or power to make laws with respect to that item. And though all those five items are, the uh, what you call, they are subject matters of taxation. So the power is limited to levy and collect tax in respect of those five items and not to legislate upon it. So uh, it is more accurate to say that Gilgit Baltistan Order 2018 robs the people of Gilgit Baltistan to make any laws, in respect of 62 items of List 1 of Schedule 3. Therefore, the result is that Gilgit-Baltistan Assembly has only power to levy and collect taxes limited to five types of subjects or incidences set out in List 2, but absolutely no power to make laws on any particular subject. It may not be wrong to say that the legislative power of Gilgit-Baltistan Assembly is zero. Now let's see section 41 of this order. Uh, Now that section, lays down that the extent of executive power of the cabinet of Baltistan corresponds to the legislative power of assembly. So, in other words, it's quite correct to say that the cabinet also has zero executive power because the legislative power of the assembly itself is zero. So corresponding power or executive power is also zero. Now the proviso to subsection 1 makes prime minister an overriding authority.
Yes, sir.
The power to grant pardons, reprieves, respites, or to remit, suspend, or commute any sentence is vested in the President of Pakistan and not the Governor of Gilgit Baltistan. This is by virtue of Section 47. So let's further examine. Under the guise of legislative and executive reforms, there is excessive concentration of power and all kinds of power, legislative, executive, and judicial appointments. That's very shocking. Judicial appointments are not made by any committee, authority, or anyone like that, or even the president, but by the prime minister. So, uh, and he's given, unprecedented immunity and indemnity for himself and persons, listed by him.
Sir, kindly please tell us about our audience the nature and extent of power wielded by the Prime Minister of Pakistan, vice versa with the Gilgit-Baltistan.
So this must be examined. It's the crux of the whole matter. The power of the Prime Minister under Gilgit-Baltistan Order 2018 is all pervasive. Let us look at them in some detail. Section 60 of the order can be called a villain or rogue provision for
Yes,
the
sir.
reason we will see hereafter. Just see the wide sweep of power given to him under subsection 1 of section 60, namely that Prime Minister has power to make laws, make laws. He neither Parliament, that is Parliament of Pakistan, nor Baltistan Assembly has the power. It's the Prime Minister who has power to make, laws in respect of territories, all the citizens, and all the employees of government, wherever they may be. Then subsection 2A empowers the Prime Minister to have exclusive power to make laws, exclusive power to make laws on any of those 66 subjects contained in list 1 and even 5 items of list 2 that is supposed to be given to the assembly of Gilgit Baltistan. The only rider in respect of list 2 is that he has to consult the chief minister. So as per section 62B, the Prime Minister has power to make laws relating to criminal law, that
Yes,
is
sir.
penal code. He can specify what will be the crime and criminal procedure, what it will be, and uh, the evidence. So just look at the concentration of power. All kinds of power has been vested in him. By reason of subsection 3, Prime Minister has also power to adopt any amendment to any existing law or law in force in Pakistan. So this is how. Now let us see subsection 4 that provides for overriding effect of law made by the Prime Minister in the event of any repugnance between the law made by him and the law made by the Assembly. So you will see that there is no power vested in that Assembly. It's only a decorative piece of this process. Subsection 5 says that on the request of the Assembly, the Prime Minister has the power to make laws on any subject not specified in the third schedule, so that even residual legislative power is also to be exercised by the Prime Minister.
Yes, sir.
Subsection 8 specifies that only three subjects with respect to which neither the Prime Minister nor the Assembly can pass laws, and these are defense and external security of Gilgit Baltistan, issuing coins, bills, notes, paper currency, and the external affairs of Gilgit Baltistan, including foreign trade and foreign aid, and any matter specified by order by the President of Pakistan. Therefore, the entire scheme is to, with respect to these subjects which I have just specified, they are the only ones which are outside the purview of the Prime Minister as well as Assembly. Rest of all the subjects are held by the Prime Minister, that is to say, the federal government. And of course, those three subjects fall within the purview of uh, the Federation directly. Now, subsection 7 provides for entrustment by the Gilgit-Baltistan government of any of its functions to the federal government of Pakistan, conditionally or unconditionally. Now, such a weak assembly will naturally unconditionally surrender its power. It has absolutely no power. It is only a decorative piece, as I said. Thus, every devious method has been provided for stripping the Gilgit-Baltistan Assembly and the government of all its powers. As we have seen that, executive power corresponds to whatever is the legislative power is zero, so executive power is also zero. Now, sections 61 and 62 provide that the government of Gilgit-Baltistan shall. Now, this is first is power, second is how it will be exercised. So just see, these two sections 61 and 62 provide that government of Gilgit-Baltistan shall so exercise its executive power as not to impede or prejudice the executive power of the Prime Minister, and to give further power to the Prime Minister to issue directions so as to ensure that performances executive functions are done in a particular manner. So these are very overbearing provisions showing utter lack of trust as well as respect for legislative, executive, and judicial authorities of Gilgit Baltistan as created by this very
Now
order.
you can please tell us boss, about the judicial reform of this order.
There are no judicial reforms, as we'll see presently.
Yes, sir.
Part uh, 11 of this order deals with judicature. So its section 75 relates to the Gilgit-Baltistan Supreme Appellate Tribunal, which is the highest court of appeal. As per subsection 3 of section 75, it consists of Chief Justice, is called Chief Judge, and two other judges, with the power of increasing the strength, not in any authority of Gilgit Baltistan, but it rests in the government of Pakistan. So whether to increase or not to increase is not within the purview of anyone in Gilgit Baltistan, but it's in the exclusive purview of the government of Pakistan. Now just see. Subsection 5 provides that Prime Minister of Pakistan shall appoint Chief Judge and other judges of the Gilgit Baltistan Supreme Appellate Court. The Chief Judge of this appellate court, that is Supreme Appellate Court, must be a retired judge of Pakistan, that is Supreme Court of Pakistan, and the judges must be retired judges of the High Court of Pakistan. So you see, justice is rendered by not any local person, but by a retired judge of uh, Supreme Court of Pakistan, and in the High Court, he has to be the retired judge of the High Court of Gilgit Baltistan. Now, subsection 18. No, yeah, I forgot subsection 12. Subsection 12 empowers the Prime Minister of Pakistan to determine the remuneration and conditions of service of the judges and the judges of the Supreme Appellate Court as well as the High Court. So when he determines his conditions of service, the it is not guaranteed under this order, but it is to be fixed by his salary is to be fixed by the uh, Prime Minister of Pakistan. Can he ever have any trace of independence? That's the question which looms large.
Yes, sir.
Now, the let's go to the next subsection. Subsection 18 provides that the budgetary requirements of Supreme Appellate Court will be met by the federal government of Pakistan. So money comes from the federal government. So what is to be done? How can the independence be ever ensured? Then let us see. Subsection 81 deals with the removal of Chief Judge of the Supreme Appellate Court as well as the High Court by the governor on the advice of the Prime Minister. So just see, all the authorities are so weak, their executive power is so limited, they are just decorative. This all powerful Prime Minister's advice is as good as order. Therefore, the removal of these judges will be at the mercy of the Prime Minister of Pakistan. I'm making a very wide statement, but it's a very accurate and correct statement. Now, and that is further, Section 83, bars the jurisdiction of any court to the proceedings for the removal of the chief judges and other judges of the Supreme Appellate Court as well as the High Court. So just see, that's travesty of any judicial reforms. Can these be called reforms? Are they reforms? Then by virtue of Section 84, it is the Prime Minister of Pakistan who confirms, additional judges. Additional judges are appointed just for 1 year, and they are again at the mercy of the Prime Minister, because he confirms them to be permanent judges of the uh, those two courts, that is Supreme Appellate Court and the High Court rather. Now, Section 92 provides that Prime Minister has the power to make a reference and obtain the opinion of Supreme Appellate Court. Now, the opinion given by can never be independent in these circumstances. Now, next section is Section 93, which empowers the Prime Minister to enact, laws establishing administrative courts and tribunals. So we have surveyed, the major provisions of executive, legislative, and judicial power. And
Yes, sir.
These show that these are not reforms. There is no delegation of power, no conferment of power. Mm. So this is all, uh, little, I don't know what to name it, but it's a deception. Now, to to wind up, let me also cite, the other important powers of the Prime Minister.
Yes, sir.
See, under Section 93, he appoints, the Chief Election Commissioner of Gilgit Baltistan and determines again conditions of service, and likewise appoints Auditor General under Section 98 and also determines his conditions of service. So how can these persons ever, the Chief Election Commission as well as the Auditor General, can they have slightest independence? Then under Section 102, the proclamation of emergency and assume all functions of the government and exercise all or any power vested in or exercisable by any body or authority except the assembly. So he has the power to assume all the powers, every power except, the power of the assembly by issuing a proclamation under section 102. Then he has power to suspend fundamental rights and right to move the court under section 103, and under section 104 to vary or rescind the proclamation of emergency. Now, by virtue of subsection 2 of section 104, the validity of the declaration of emergency cannot be questioned in any court. And he has also power to declare financial emergency. Now, uh, not section, but part 17 of the Gilgit Baltistan Order 2018 makes elaborate provisions for protecting and indemnifying the Prime Minister and others specified by him for their acts and omissions. So let us briefly notice these provisions. Section 107 empowers the Prime Minister to make a law protecting and indemnifying any person in service of Gilgit Baltistan in respect of any act done for maintenance or restoration of order. Section 108(1) lays down that Prime Minister will not be answerable for to any court for the exercise of power or performance of any function of his office or any act done or purported to be done in exercise of his power or performance of his function. So, no accountability in any court, all indemnity. Then, subsection 2 provides that no criminal proceedings whatsoever can be instituted or continued against the Prime Minister in any court during his term of office. Then subsection 4 protects the Prime Minister against any civil proceedings against him for any private act, even private act, done before or after assuming the office of Prime Minister without a clear 60 days notice about, who is issuing the notice, who wants to uh, take him to a court of law, and what is the subject matter of. So these are the. So to sum up, the all-pervasive stranglehold of Prime Minister of Pakistan on the legislative, executive, and judicial organs of state or of Gilgit-Baltistan, they should be, noticed and widely disseminated. Everyone must know that this is what they are calling reform. And, you know, so that is all I have to say.
Yes, sir. With this too long episode we have shooted, will be ending here. Thank you, sir, for all providing your knowledge and information on this topic. Thank you, sir, for the day.